What's up guys, I'm Shane and this is Spare Change. If it's your first time here, we discuss all things audio and video, new movies, new AV equipment. So if you're not subscribed, then tap the subscribe button for new weekly videos. Today for review, we've got the Star Wars Trilogy on Disney Plus 4K streaming. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that I won't be discussing what these movies are about. I'm just going to share with you my thoughts on the video and the audio quality. Now for a few tech specs. All of them were shot on film. I'm not sure if these are a 2K or a 4K DI, but I believe that I read that these are some new 4K restorations. They're all rated PG. Runtime is 125 minutes for A New Hope, 127 minutes for Empire, and 134 minutes for Return of the Jedi. These are all the special edition versions with the added-in scenes. Aspect ratio is 239:1, so you will get those black bars. So here it is, the official Disney release of episodes 4, 5, and 6 in 4K, in Dolby Vision if your TV supports it, or in HDR10. These aren't the original versions, but the special editions, so Han walking on Jabba's tail is going to be in this. Now, how much better do these movies look compared to their 1080p counterparts? Well, resolution-wise, sharpness, detail, etc., I thought it was noticeably better looking than my normal Blu-rays. The image was cleaner and tighter overall. The Blu-ray seemed a lot softer and blurrier compared to these 4K transfers. Some scenes did look exceptionally good, and others just looked like a really good modern Blu-ray. Things that stood out to me was how much more detail you can make out on Vader's helmet in episode 4. The thing was clearly handmade with tons of imperfections. As we move on to subsequent episodes, you could see how much better they got at producing not only his helmet, but his entire costume. Several up-close shots were very detailed, so much so that they could almost pass for a modern-day shot film. Individual strands of Chewie's hair was rendered nearly flawlessly. Wrinkles and crow's feet was of course all present, and I thought the amount of detail on the droids were standouts. All the dirt, damage, scuffs, and scrapes were clearly defined, and the best I've ever seen them. The interior of the Falcon also came through great as well. It had a very worn-out, greasy mechanical appearance. There were tons of different things within the ship I've never noticed before or just couldn't make out clearly when comparing it to the standard Blu-rays. As we move on from 4, 5, and 6, I felt The Empire Strikes Back looked the best, with A New Hope coming second, and Return of the Jedi being last as far as sharpness and clarity. Jedi I felt had a touch of DNR that gave the image a cleaner look than the other films, but some of that fine detail wasn't as discernible as the other two. Everything just seemed a notch softer. All three films also have a very fine layer of grain, with Return of the Jedi seemingly having the least. Now I did watch these movies in both HDR10 and Dolby Vision, and at least to my eyes, I felt that Dolby Vision transfers were the best looking for HDR. These aren't the brightest movies with crazy colors, but with the wider color gamut, saturation levels do get a nice bump. These movies aren't gonna be HDR showcases, but they are clearly a step above the regular Blu-rays. Spectral highlights from explosions have a touch more pop, and the twinkle in Luke's eyes were surprisingly bright in that scene at Obi-Wan's place in episode 4. Black levels and shadow detail were a nice improvement, with maybe a touch of black crush in HDR10 in some of the darkest scenes. Although I did feel the Dolby Vision version did handle these darker scenes better. The trash compactor scene comes to mind. Oh, I forgot to mention those added CGI scenes in episode 4. They looked horribly soft and blurry, so much so that it kinda takes you out of the movie. There is a very distinct difference between those scenes and the rest of the entire film. All three movies get a brand new Dolby Atmos mix, which I found was sporadically active in the high channels. Episode 4 was the weakest of the bunch, with the shallowest soundstage. As we move to 5 and 6, soundstage and audio separation gets wider and more dimensional. The scene where they fly through Alderaan after it's been blown up in episode 4 does have some cool effects with debris flying above your head and within the lower channels. The swampy environmental effects like the creatures in the background in Dagobah in episode 5 really puts you in that outdoor space. And that speeder bike scene in Return of the Jedi I thought was the most dynamic of all three movies. Trees zip from front to back and lasers whiz by your head. It is the best I've ever heard this movie sound. Within all three episodes, the musical score does expand out to every channel, and it does give you a nice immersive experience, with Return of the Jedi being the best. Bass response was consistent between all three movies, meaning all of them had a very impressive low frequency response. Whenever someone was using the Force, there's a tremendous amount of bass, enough to shake your room. And all the big explosions sounded just about as good as any Transformers movie. Dialogue was perfectly fine in every film without any issues hearing people talk. So for audio, I'd give A New Hope a 7.9. The Empire Strikes Back, I'd have to go with an 8. And Return of the Jedi, 8.5. I don't think any of these are really demo-worthy, as some of the sound effects do sound their age, notably the first one, but these are the best I've ever heard them sound. For video, I'm gonna go episode 4, 8.2. Episode 5, 8.4. and Episode 6, 7.8. Return of the Jedi, I just thought it had the least detail of all three movies with the softest image. 4 and 5 looked great with the most improvements from the regular Blu-rays. I mean, all of them did look better than the regular Blu-rays. Now, I don't feel like any of these are going to blow your mind with 4K crispness or HDR colors, but these are the best versions out there. Unfortunately, you will have to be subscribed to Disney Plus to watch them. So the question is, should you subscribe to Disney Plus to have the chance to watch these in 4K? Well, it's not just these Star Wars movies that are in 4K, it's every Star Wars movie that's in 4K and Dolby Atmos, except for Solo and The Last Jedi. I think those ones are still going to be on Netflix for a while. But let me know what you think. Are you going to drop $7 a month and get a subscription, or are you going to hold off and wait for the 4K Blu-rays? Also, let me know your thoughts on these 4K transfers, and what order would you list them from best to worst? Let me know in the comments below. Well, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, then give it a like. You can find us on social media, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive content or just have some questions, then stop by our Patreon page. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys again in the next one.